Hey everyone, Christian here, and I want to talk about another topic that is very important when we're discussing palms, especially palms in pots, but I'm going to talk about it as it pertains to palms in the ground as well, especially because I'm not around any palms in pots at the moment. So that is going to be, if you've seen the movie There Will Be Blood, drainage. You know what I mean? So when you buy a soil for your palms, whether potted or to amend soil for digging, it's important to know what kind of drainage that a palm needs. And for the most part, the easy answer is that it needs a lot of drainage. And as you can see here, these are fast drainage, I should say. All these houses are built up. Don't want to hit any birds. And everything seems to be doing pretty well. It's getting good drainage this time of the year when there's a lot of rain. It's very important for almost all palms to have good drainage, and pretty much all these palms look really healthy. And the main, there are, I would say, out of all of the palm species, I would say 3/4 of them require pretty good drainage. Even if they like a lot of water, they like the water to drain past them. So for example, licoalas are, for the most part, a tropical genus. However, almost all of them require good drainage or they will rot. Root rot is probably the number one killer. Basically a fungus that ends up killing the root, but it starts from the root, doesn't really start from the leaf. It'll start eating away at the root, and then it'll start to show by tip browning until eventually it encompasses the entire plant. So we're driving around this neighborhood here in this little dead end, but you can see everything here is doing pretty well. There's really no rough looking plants. A lot of these palms are pretty, and other plants are pretty tough anyway. Out of all these palms, the queens could do well in poor drainage situations, but we'll get to the poorly draining area later. When it rains, it floods in this area. And when you're getting soil for potted palms, it's really important that there's always a way to make your soil, you can always amend your soil to the point where it holds more water, but it's really hard to add more drainage. Like, it's hard to add rocks to an already existing clumpy mix. Once you already have that soil mix that's pretty, that does not drain well, to take it all out, that mucky soil, like if you can grab the soil and grab it into a fist and it holds that pattern, then your soil, it does not drain well enough. Important media that can be used for good drainage are going to be things like porous rocks, like pumice, which is expensive here in Florida, but it's fairly cheap in other areas that are closer to, say, pumice mines, like California, Hawaii. I don't know if you want to call it pumice mines, whatever. So where there's rock quarries. Other large rocks are good. They can get expensive and heavy. Lighter alternatives would be things like perlite, especially the expanded perlite. It can hold some moisture. It is porous, but basically, if you grab a clump of soil that has that sort of material in it, it's never going to hold a shape. It's always just going to fall apart, and you want it to fall apart. And coarse materials like coarse pine bark, you don't really want to use any fine. Never use topsoil when growing most palms like these. You don't want to use, most of the stuff you're going to find at big box stores is actually pretty terrible for growing palms, unfortunately. That's why I rarely go there to get any palm soil, especially even when I really need it. I just don't want to plant. Once you plant your palm in that soil, it's going to basically acclimate to it and look like crap, unfortunately. So this main road here, you can see these houses are not nearly as built up. A few of them are here, and this road will tend to get pretty flooded coming up here. You'll see it gets even flatter. These are a little built up, but we've driven down this road a number of times. But here you can see that there's really the older buildings don't have much rise in elevation to them. Just back in the day, they just didn't really burn them up as much. So I'm not, and these live oaks and these palmettos can handle that. And that's basically what's growing here. I think that if you were trying to grow a lot of Canary Island dates in this area, some other very palms that require decent amount of drainage to look good, I think that that's a lot of the problem that exists in growing Mediterranean style palms that require more of a Mediterranean climate in subtropical and tropical places like Florida. So this neighborhood is a little bit more bermed up. It was a little bit more money was thrown towards it. So, but yeah, back to like potting. I've seen a number of people like on Facebook or other communities where they've asked what's wrong with their palm, and people will always say nutrient deficiency, but the problem is it may be a nutrient deficiency, but the nutrient deficiency exists because the soil is so dense and so mucky that the nutrients cannot be uptaken by the roots, which are also rotting at the same time. So when you realize that, the good draining soil not only allows for lack of fungus, but allows for better nutrient uptake. They can move more upward and downward within the soil, depending on where they need to go. It also leaches out salts that may exist, especially if you're using like a heavy mineral water, like say like a well water that has a lot of salt in it. And good draining soil, when you can water more often, you can also control your climate. You can control the actual a palm in a pot is a controllable climate, or a media. For example, you can water it a lot, and you can give, like, say you had a palm that likes a lot of water, you can still plant it in a light soil mix because you can just water it a lot. But if you take a palm that loves good drainage and you start to put it in mucky soil, there's really no way to like let it dry out completely, then like swamp it again. Like peat moss, topsoil, just general like. Actually, what really holds a lot of water is like really fine sand, like unfiltered fine sand. Usually has like a lot of like dirt particles in it, and it just tends to hold a lot of water. And you'll see sandy, a lot of sandy media actually get moldy on the top when too much water is applied. So now we're just kind of stuck here in traffic. But I figured, I wanted to talk about this, and it's a lot easier to talk in the car. It's like 92 degrees out, and this way we can see more plants that would either require more drainage or don't require much drainage. Now, I want to go over the palms that don't really require much drainage, and the first one that comes to mind is Cerastachys, which is the lipstick palm. That palm actually doesn't want any drainage. You can sit that in a pond and it'll be all right. There's some other palms like that, like Nipa. These are all going to be more uncommon plants, but the more common ones that are okay with poor drainage are going to be ones that, like sable palmettos are fine. They tend to grow in swampy areas. Needle palms tend to love a lot of water. They tend to grow, again, in swampy peat bog sort of areas throughout Georgia and Alabama and Florida. And Royals, Acelareae, so Roystonia, Acelareae, those all like swampy conditions. And I went over that why Royals don't germinate in anything other than really swampy, shady conditions, because that's the nature where they come from. So you'll see Royals growing fine in bermed up areas, but they actually prefer the swampy ones. That's where the real beefy ones will come from, and really like poorly draining soil because of the water retention. So anyway, so those are all going to be common plants you're going to find like in Florida. Now in California, some of the ones that actually can handle a lot of water are going to be stuff like king palms. Or Conta phoenix is a big lover of the water and seems to like rich soil over fast draining soil. In fact, they seem to just do poorly in fast draining soil. So, but yeah, that's about it. I wish I had more species of palms to show you in pots. I'm hoping to do that in the near future. I have an announcement to make. I did something. I made a purchase, and I want to show you guys how it progresses once it gets here. I don't know how long it's going to be, but when it comes along, I will definitely let you guys know. And anyways, I hope this video was informative. If it was, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to discuss more about palms, want to see more palm reviews, just general chat, and we go live, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell notification, and you will see when I go poorly as well when you hit the bell. And you can ask me questions. And if you had any other questions about poorly draining poorly draining soil and palms that enjoy it versus well draining soil, go ahead and leave them down below, and I'll get back to everyone as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.